Yes, it does. Mincha 6:40.
6:40.
Tomorrow, not today.
Not today.
Today's class is sponsored by the Moshe Atanian for the yahrzeit of Goad Bas Yitzchok. Shom Shav and Aliyah. Okay. Torah or Megillah Esther. Okay, all the way at the end of the page, 5 lines to the end of the page. Now the Rebbe is explaining the difference between the acceptance of Torah in Ma'aban Torah, which came from a revelation of above, Gilui Ma'amai held the mountain over their head, comparing it to Achashverosh as the Mesiras Nefesh that caused the finalization, acceptance of Matan Torah, because that was Mesiras Nefesh Momata L'mayla. Okay, it didn't come as a revelation from above. Avol b'mei Achashverosh shoya bitul mitzad atzmam. The bitul, which is the keli for the Gilui of Elokus, came mitzad themselves and serusad l'sata tchila, an awakening from below. Lochein gam amshoch shenim shachai deizeh, because it came through Aveda, it comes mimakim el yonyeser. It comes from a much higher place because Aveda stimulates. Like the pasuk says, "L'maisi adachat tichseif." Hashem longs for the aved of a yid, to the extent that the Gilui of Matan Torah was only a chelu. It was only a beginning of acceptance. The Gabi Aram Shalshim Shabapur Shinamar Shanika Vekibel Gmar Vekibel Yehudim. Okay, skip this parentheses. What do you mean, how long did it take? The actual miracle?
No, all this thing they say.
The whole, your year time.
14 years, somebody says 14 years.
No, the Gzeda was 1 year. Okay, turn to 198, next paragraph. This is all part of the parentheses. Now we can understand what it says. That was the Maimer's Divrei HaMaschil. The person's obligated to get drunk on wine until he doesn't know the difference between Adar Haman and Baruch Mordechai, that Haman is cursed and Mordechai is blessed. Because Simcha is Purim Atzum, Aviyasedim is Simcha Shebi Yomtiv. Because Purim is a greater Simcha than the Simcha of Yomtiv. Even though Yomtiv is a biblical Simcha, V'samachta b'chagecha, you have to be happy biblically. Purim is only a rabbinic Yomtiv. Nevertheless, Purim is even a greater Simcha than the Yom Tov. Why? Kinei al kol Yom Tov, it says Ranu tzadikim ba'avaya. We say Ranu tzadikim Tilim, right? Ranu but tzadikim ba'avaya. That tzadikim will sing in the name of Avaya refers to Yom Tov. That's why we say Shabbos and Yom Tov, because Shabbos and Yom Tov is the Gilui of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Havaya is the level of Ishtaushlus Eilemis. The name of Yud Kei Vav Kei is Ishtaushlus. Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina, Chulu, V'raninu Ba'avaya, and now you have the level of Shabbos and Yom Tov is singing, enjoying about Havaya. Hanu Shemamshich, Tesis Ervi Gilim, Umaylim Ishtaushlus, Beseder Ishtaushlus. So now you have Ranunu Tzadikim Behavaya, means Shabbos and Yom Tov, you bring down a level of Kedusha higher than world into world. That's the level of Shabbos, right? That Yidden add Simcha to the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. But that is a Pirush Ranu Tzadikim Behavaya. Tzadikim is a level of tzadikim is plural, right? Ranunu tzadikim. So he says there's two levels of a tzadik. There's tzadik elyon, with tzadik tachtin. One is a level of yesod, there's whatever different kabbalistic levels. So we have the tzadik elyon, tzadik tachtin. But even this gilui of being mamshach, the level of tzaddikim in Avaya, is still limited, because it's coming down into the level of world. If it's coming down into the level of the world, it can be an infinite revelation. The world has to handle it. Therefore, it's nothing compared to the essence of Hashem, not even like he says, not even ketipim and ayam, like one drop of water compared to the ocean. L'chein mitzvahs Yom Tov shenema v'samachta b'chagecho b'gvul mida was limited. In fact, the Gemara says that Bezdin would send out shluchim on Yom Tov to the various places to make sure people didn't get drunk, people didn't get too loose in the simcha of Yom Tov. So Yom Tov has, even those biblical mitzvahs, machta b'chagecha, but what was the simcha? The Gemara says, ein simcha lebabasar, right? The carbon shlomen, they had to bring with simcha. There's only simcha b'yayin. And how much wine do you need to drink on Yom Tov to be yotze the mitzvah of wine? Or revius yayin yotze dechav simcha Yom Tov. Shas simcha b'gvul v'shir. So he says, Yom Tov, to be yotze the mitzvah of simcha Yom Tov, what do you have to drink? 1 revius of wine. 3 ounces of wine. You're yotze the mitzvah. But Mashenk in simchas Purim. Shas simcha g'dol yotze l'mayla me'adas. It's higher even than the level of das adoloy adam. It's even a level of adoloy higher than ishtalshus. And that's why we learned that there's no mention of God's name in the Megillah. Yudke Vavke. So there's the simple meaning, why there isn't a mention of Hashem's name in the Megillah. And then there's the deeper meaning. It's exactly the same concept of Meidani. Meidani, it says in halacha, why is there no mention of Hashem's name in Meidani? Because you didn't wash your hands yet. You didn't do Netilas Yadayim. Your hands are tamei, so you can't say Hashem's name. Chassidus comes along and says, no, just the opposite. Meidani lefanecha, the Meidani of a Jew reaches the essence of the Jew, which is the essence of Hashem, and therefore it's higher than any level of purity and impurity. So in other words, not because Meidani is lower, there's no mention of Hashem. On the contrary, Meidani is so great, the submission of Meidani is so great that there can't be any tumah there. Okay? Same thing as with Purim. Simple, it says in Halach, in the Gemara, Medrash, Halach, why is there no mention of Hashem's name in the Megillah? So it says because they were afraid, Anshe Knesset Hagadolah were afraid that the Goyim are going to use this for their history, and they're going to define Hashem as their idols. So therefore, they didn't put any mention of Hashem in the Megillah because they were afraid it was going to, be defamed, whatever. Which means that the Megillah is lower than Yudke Vavke. That's why there isn't any. Comes along, Chassidus says, no, just the opposite. Why isn't there any Yudke Vavke in the Megillah? Because it's higher than Yudke Vavke. Yudke Vavke is a level of Ishtalshus, of worlds. Chachma Bina, 6 feet of Malchus. What happened? Purim is higher than it. Megillah says it's a level of Elokus which is higher than Yudke Vavke. So of course there's no mention of Hashem in the Megillah because it's higher than Hashem, higher than the name of Yudke Vavke. And the same thing he's saying here. That year, the whole year that took the Ad Mesiras Nefesh from Nisan to Adar, which is Mamayla Mitam Vedas, which is lower, it came from the Jews. Hini Bisarus L'Sato Bittul Zeh. Higil Mamayla Mamayla Ba'atzmas Ein Sof. They reach through this Aveda down here. They reach the essence of Hashem. Shalamayla Migederish Taushas, which is infinitely greater than the whole chain, which is even higher than Sevav Mamala. That's why Chassidus explains another aspect. The miracle of Purim, if you look at the story of Purim itself, it's not such a great miracle. What happened? Okay, Vashti was killed because she was not subordinate to her husband. Esther became the queen. Haman made a decree. Esther came and said, my dear husband, they want to kill me. He said, what? Okay, we're going to save the Jewish people. There was Mordechai was a big macher in the government. So it sounds Plausible. You're very good. You know English good. So it makes sense in Teva. So Chassidus explains what was the uniqueness of the miracle of Purim, that all the Yom Tov are going to pass except Purim, because it was a nes in Teva. Let's say Kriyas Yamsuf wasn't a miracle in nature. Hashem broke nature. Instead of water flowing, it stopped. So what did Hashem do? Hashem broke nature. Here, what Hashem did was a super miracle, but it was enclosed in nature. Okay? Now, it's self-understood that to break nature, you have to be a little bit higher than nature. Like it says, a tefach, your handbreadth higher than nature, you could do miracles. Here, to combine miracle and natural and supernatural simultaneously, you have to reach a level higher than both. So the whole Nes of Purim, dafke because it was a miracle dressed into nature, it comes from a source because you're combining two opposites. You're combining, so to speak, or and chayshech, fire and water, nature and above nature. So in order to combine nature and above nature, you have to tap into a level which is above both. So the miracle of Purim wasn't stam a miracle. It reached a level of godliness which is even above miracle. And that's why it was able to unite with nature. So he says that's why the awakening of the Jew milmato l'mayla was the avodah that they made the keli. Not it was a gil milmayla to become the keli. The Matan Torah, Hashem held the mountain over their head, the gili of Elokus. That became milmayla for them a keli to bittul to Kabbalah Torah. They were in awe from the revelation. But if you're talking about what the Yidden did themselves, the bittul that came from themselves, that is an infinitely greater level, and that was the keli to a level of Elokus which is higher than Yud Kevavke. And that's why the mitzvah of Purim, Adolo Yada. The Rebbe at the beginning, the Maimon asked the question, why is Simchas Purim G'day Lahab in Simchas Yom Tiv, right? So many miracles, yeah? And not only that, Yom Tiv is holy, or you can't even do malacha. Purim, you're allowed to do malacha, right? I mean, all these things, yeah? So the Alter Rebbe is answering the question based on what he explained before, the Matan Torah, Mamayla, Mamato, Lamayla, Mesiras Nefesh of the Jews that came from them reached the level of Adolo Yada. That's why that Gilui, like we learned in other Torah or Maimonim with Alter Rebbe, when Mashiach comes, there's going to be such a Gili Or of godliness that all the revelations of Yom Tif are going to be like a candle in sunshine. Not Chas V'Shom, they won't be anymore. Because Torah is never going to be exchanged. Torah is Nitzchi. Torah is eternal. There will always be Yom Tif. But compared to the Gilui of Mashiach, it's going to be nothing. Purim is so high that even in comparison to the Gilui Mashiach, it's still going to be revealed. What? Chanukah also. One place.